Boom. And we are live. Let's get rocking and rolling. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I am so excited for today. Oh my goodness. I'm so humbled. It just gives me great joy. Oh my, I'm about to cry. It gives me great joy, you know what I'm saying? To bring you all onto my platform. I definitely want to give a salute to my brother Russell. You all know him as Jolly Good Ginger over on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's my brother from another mother. You know, they
Oh
say
yeah,
y'all don't look
definitely.
alike. That's my brother from another mother.
Hey, no question. There's no
Absolutely.
question about that.
Absolutely. So for my watchers, definitely make sure you mash that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you can stay notified with all the things that we have going on. And without further ado, can you all please introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Bianca Austin, and I'm the aunt of Breonna Taylor.
And I'm
Awesome,
Jacob
awesome.
Blake, Jacob Blake Sr., father of Jacob Blake that was shot 7 times in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and is backed by a police officer.
Awesome, awesome, and we are delighted to have you. I was actually, it's interesting because I was doing some a little bit of research on my platform, trying to figure out when I posted my videos, and it's ironic, Mr. Jacob Blake Sr. I actually reposted a video that you did on Facebook, and I didn't realize it. I was scrolling back through my videos. Because of course, I mean Breonna Taylor, definitely. My condolences to both your families. I several marches, several protests when I got out here to Hawaii. Actually, on my YouTube channel, we had a march for Breonna Taylor, a peaceful protest, if you will. And a Trump supporter showed up, and they gave me the microphone, and it was all she wrote. And he was just spitting a lot of misinformation, and we just
Yeah.
lit him up and sent him on his way. But I don't want to take this opportunity here. So for those of you that don't know, we're fundraising for Families United, which gives you all an opportunity to travel around the world, to meet up with different families and provide them support and things of that nature. But I don't want to talk about what people typically talk about, right? Because I'm sure they ask you these in your interviews when they see y'all in person. We want to talk about the strength. That's what we want to focus on. Some of the experiences that you all have had traveling around the world, as well as what brought you all to start this, and to get rocking and rolling with supporting these families. So, Miss Austin, if you would like to start, what are some of the things, just on a surface level? What are some of the things that you've encountered when meeting with some of these other families?
Oh man, I know it just well, just traveling and just seeking justice for both our families. We encounter so many people who's going through the same tragedies, unfortunately, that don't even get the opportunity to like voice their opinion, have the platform that we have, and it's heartbreaking. Um, and like me and Jake, we two strong individuals, and we willing to bear that weight, especially like when we meet people and our heart just breaks. And even though we're going through the same tragedy, um, it's like people we it just makes us like realize like we're doing the right thing and we got to keep fighting. You know what I mean? And not only if we can be a voice for somebody else and continue to uplift our own families, I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Like, because we're in a movement right now. Like, if
Absolutely.
we stop, you know what I mean? Like, who's going to continue to do this? Who's going to continue to get justice for our family? And who's going to continue to uplift other families that's going through the same thing? And you run across these families and they're misinformed. I mean, they're clueless. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different fight when you fighting up against the system that's not meant for us. And you have to break it down. You have to be upfront. You have to be honest with them. You got to be open about everything. And the stuff that they're going through, we can just relate. Like first day I met him, we've been Trump tight ever since.
Absolutely.
And I said one
Absolutely.
word, and he said the right thing, and it just, you know what I mean, like lifted me up ever since, like a
Absolutely.
breath of fresh air. Like thank God, like somebody knows what I'm talking about here. I'm not crazy. So,
Absolutely.
it,
Absolutely.
it it's definitely an honor. It's definitely an honor to be able to support um,
Oh,
um, people who's out here really going through a lot, and we've done encountered it's a lot of families, lots of families. to the point where, man, like it's a full time job almost, but it's not a job in a sense, but it's a full time thing. Um,
Absolutely. Now that was one of the
just
things I was
even
trying to. No, no, go ahead.
just even trying to just stay in communication with the people that we've come across. You know what I mean? To let them know, like, we haven't got forgot about you. You know what I mean? Like, we're still here, we're still working. Um, yeah, and it's just it's definitely been rough. You know what I mean? But that's why we stick with each other and we try to lift each other up and like continue.
Absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, the link for Families United is in my bio, in my Beacons link on TikTok. So if you go over to TikTok, for those of you on YouTube, I Speak 1906 Families United is the very first link, and I'm leaving it there. I'm not taking it down. And I'm gonna do we're gonna do another installment, just so that we can hit another core group of people, and we'll talk specifics with the timing on that. But yeah, so these are the types of things that I want you all to think about when you're, however big, however small donation that you give. And I'm also going to pledge a donation myself as well, because y'all know I'm not going to tell y'all to, or ask y'all to do anything that I myself am not going to do.
That's
So I'm going
right.
to pledge $100, and I'm going to ask,
Thank you,
all of my
brother.
supporters
Appreciate that.
that can to match me. We just recently did a fundraiser for Locks of Love. There was a young lady who came on my platform. She was like, "No, I don't want it. For a wig for me. Donate it to Locks for Love." So if we can do that,
That's what's up.
we can get $200 in 30 minutes. We can definitely support this initiative to ensure that these families get the support that they need. Um,
Right.
Mr. Blake Senior.
Um, when I first met the Taylor family in a whole, I met them all together at one time. And
Mm,
as they were walking down the street towards me, um, I could feel our energies just melt like macaroni and cheese. When you melt the cheese with the
yes,
macaroni
sir.
properly, and you get that crust across in seconds, and I mean seconds, we were family.
Wow.
We have I've been able to, in my weak moments, be strong because B and me have been. It's really incredible because in the last year and whatever, we've been so. It, it she is my sister without a doubt from another mother, and her whole family is my, not just one family member. Her whole family is in love with me as I'm in love with them, and vice versa. You understand? And it's hard to
Absolutely.
understand how a tragedy can make you so uh, inseparable. But we've taken a tragedy that has happened to both of our families
Absolutely.
and understanding that we have the ability to make people calm, to soothe people, because we know where you are. When your eyes are moving and your head isn't, and you just have no one seems to understand. We come in because we understand. We give hope where there is no hope because we're united. And the family's united for that purpose. We united because we were determined not to have families out there that felt like they didn't have anybody they could connect with.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. So
and
let's
if you can't just talk about it and not be about it.
absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of wanted to delve a little bit deeper on that. Thank you. Um, I want to talk a little bit about not just because oftentimes we tend to focus on the parents and the aunts, the uncles. What are some of the experiences that you've had with some of the children of these families, and how do you motivate them and encourage them?
Well, um, it's so rough, because Brianna was she was like a mother sister to her, Sister Janaya. She was a mother cousin to my daughter, um, and a lot of the people in our family looked up to Brianna. You know what I mean? Like it was like even my daughter, she would call Brianna about things before she even called me. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's hard. I would definitely say learning how to communicate with them and
Hmm.
letting them express themselves, whether it's um, whether you feel like it's right or wrong. You know, we gotta let our kids express ourselves because they growing up in a different era than we was growing up. You know, when I was
Absolutely.
growing up, we couldn't express ourselves, and we get that built to our back. You know what I mean? Like,
Indeed.
but
Indeed.
now when we live in these tragedies and they done took such a loss, they have their bad days, their good days. My son's 8 years old and he go to school and he has to deal with kids who tease him. You know, that's why your cousin was murdered, or you know, and he comes home and he feel like he has to defend himself. You know, you get those um days where you see them lonely, like you know, like you see the emptiness that they carry around because we've took such a loss. You know what I mean? Because and
Right.
it's hard, but it's a learning experience, and we got to learn how to like I said, just communicate with that, and let each other, you know, just be free to express themselves. You know, because you know it. People say it's okay to cry, but it's not okay to cry in front of your kids.
Oh, I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. Thank you for
Express
focusing
yourself,
on young people's
because
mental
that's the
health.
only way
Yes.
I feel like some days we get through it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's a lot. It's been devastating. It's been good days. It's been bad days. But you know, that's why.
Well, I'll tell you a little story to give you an example
Okay.
of what we do for the kids because in my mind, all I hear is every time with the kids and with different families, I hear constant motivation causes expansion. You
Mm.
understand? So if you constantly motivate people and continue to give a positive, like we were in Wilmington, Delaware, and there was a young lady whose brother was killed by police violence, and the sister was holding a baby, and they would been holding him for a minute and got tired, and the baby reached over and got in my arms, and we hold the babies like we hold the families up. We motivate the babies because the baby children can see a pure heart and a pure person way before an adult can. So
Right.
at one place, they leave children. Now this one laughs at me all the time because they leave children with Big Jake all everywhere
I
we
don't know
go.
why people trust this man with their kids.
Hey, they leave kids, bro, and walk away. I mean, these are their own children.
Not to say that he's not
Not to say I'm
trustworthy,
not trustworthy,
but
but
I swear
I've,
every event.
I've had two and a baby. I've had two babies and a little one hold on. I don't even know who they are, but I'm holding them and soothing them.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
you must soothe and motivate these children as you because they're our future.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if they experience a positive brown person, a person that looks like them, that is
Right.
willing to help them and stand by them, and then that changes them.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely. And
changes them.
I think it speaks a lot to the not just the atmosphere, but the energy. Like you said, you all didn't even just one word and was like boom. We already know what time it is. There was not even a
Mhm.
second thought.
I mean, you think she's exaggerating? I don't even say it. I don't. I'll say it wasn't even a word. I say she sat down across from me, and 5 minutes later we were planning our next march. 5 minutes.
Wow.
We're planning what we're. And then I said to myself, I said, well, if she don't come, I understand. It was like, what she did, she come. She was there early.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, I think that speaks a lot to the energy that is radiated when we have these, these get-togethers, and more so these spaces for support. I want to talk a little bit about Miss Austin. You mentioned earlier about giving a voice to the voiceless. And I think that's so powerful. And I think people oftentimes undermine the value of that statement. Can both of
Hmm.
you give a little bit of your connection to what it means to you to give a voice to the voiceless?
Um, so when I say that, I like to encourage families to continue, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how tired you are, no matter how indecisive you are through what they're going through, it is your responsibility to get out here and stand up for your family. Because a lot of
Absolutely.
times people think that Brianna was this, person who got killed and she became famous overnight. People don't know she Brianna didn't get recognition till like she was killed March 13th, 2020. It wasn't until after George Floyd was murdered that she
Wow.
piggybacked off of George Floyd. It was her family that was networking in these celebrities' inboxes, reaching out to people, making post after post every day, you know, constant, like a sewing machine. We constant for months, months.
Right.
And then we finally got unfortunately, after George Floyd, um, his family allowed us to uplift her name. Like, don't forget about this young black woman that was killed in Louisville, Kentucky by the police in her own home through a botched raid. You know what I mean? Like, and it
Right.
was there, like, people, and that's what I mean, a voice for the voiceless. Because had had we not got that opportunity from George Floyd, who there, people wouldn't have known who Breonna Taylor was. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's what I mean, the voice for the voiceless. And if Breonna Taylor can use her platform and do that for somebody else, why not? Because if we don't, and we continue to let them kill us in the fashion in the rate that they're killing us, we're gonna be in this fight for another 400 years.
It was a marriage of a perfect storm.
Mm.
And if anybody is ever that pays attention to meteorology and weather, there's ebbs and flows in a storm. And when
Right.
the storm reaches certain peaks, they say it's at its highest level of accumulation, and it's meeting and like that movie, A Perfect Storm.
Right.
You see it once in 100 years. Well, uh, Jacob Blake's family, Breonna Taylor's family, and George Floyd's family decided that we were going to unite and that our voice would be stronger together. Nobody had
Absolutely.
ever done that. United. Nobody had ever done that. So when we united, not only did we decide that we take spotlight because we move with light, and I don't know why we had so much light on us. We took light to a family in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, that has been fighting for 6 years. And 2 months, well, a month and a week ago, they got the policeman indicted finally for what he had done to their son.
Let's go.
But they were
Let's
ready to
go.
sweep that. They were ready to sweep that under the rug and forget it's three families that we brought. We said, no, you're not going to just. This is everyone is involved in this,
Right.
and there's some that we have to continue to bring light to the darkness. voice to the voiceless, because some of those I was in San Diego last week with 300 families that had been affected by police brutality. 300 dead young people on this table. And then there's people that have been forgotten about. And they would walk up to me in there, and they'd walk up, and we were in there together, and they said, please, just don't forget us. I said, baby, I'll never forget you. And there were some that we had met in D.C. that when they saw me walking up the hallway, they ran up to me, and there was one brother and another sister, and they just walked up, and I held them, and they just cried for 10 minutes, just cried with me. And they said they hadn't cried since the last time they seen me. Well, that's what you have to bring. You have to be that rock. God made me who I am so that I could bear the burden and be somebody's anchor to hold them on the harbor. When the storm is blowing and the water is going out, we're holding them in that mooring. And we're not going to let them float away and be forgotten about. We're not out here for recognition. We're out here to unite families, to make a real change. We're out here to change laws, because things go down and they seem like they stop moving. We're still moving. We're still doing. We never stop. We're on our way out of town again. That's why I'm here in Louisville with my sister. We're out of town again, going again in a couple of days. It never stops. We never stop. And what your people on your channels, your YouTube and your TikTok, if they could understand $5 and $10, that allows us to put gas in our vehicles, to upkeep our vehicles, so that we can travel when these people need us. We drive a lot of places because we can't afford plane tickets. And we get in a car and we drive. We've driven hours, 12 hours and 10 hours and 14 hours. We drive and we go and we never stop. And people have to understand, man, it takes its toll on us financially.
Absolutely.
And we still don't stop.
Absolutely. And
as long as the lights are on and there's food in the refrigerator when we get back.
That's it. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that because I know for me, investment is everything. When I see something that, I believe in, I don't ask too many questions. I just say, all right, where can I throw my money at? But everyone doesn't have that opportunity. And oftentimes people just genuinely want to know. So what are, some of the costs associated, just so that people understand the depth of what it takes for you all to do what you do. So they think, okay, for the individuals, and I'm sure you all have probably got this, oh, well, I don't know where the money is going or what is the money going towards. Not that you owe anyone an explanation, because I promise you don't. But if you could kind of give the people an idea of what some of the costs are. I know you mentioned gas.
I'm gonna give you an example, because my sister and I both agree. For us, we come as a 3-person team. And when we travel, on the average of plane tickets are $800 to $1,200 for the team to move. Then on top of that $1,200, we're looking at housing. Usually it's 3 to 4 days. 3 to 4 days, you're looking at anywhere from $500 to $600. That comes to about $1,800 just for boarding and flying. And we can't fly without eating and drinking. So you add another $300 to that. So every time we get together and move, it costs us a couple of $1,000s to do every time. Every time. And then if you take off the flight, let's say we take off the flight, then we just get in the car and ride. Well, then you're talking about 400. It depends on how many miles it is. If it's 10 hours of travel, you're looking at $400 in gas there, $400 back. So you're taking $400 off the plane tickets. And
Right.
then, but you're still over. You're almost at $3,000 every rip. 2,000 just to move, 3,000 to eat, and
Right.
it varies, but usually on an average, it's $2,200 to $2,400 just for us to move.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's just kind of, and that's more so, on the smaller scale. For those of you that are watching, for you all to fully understand what it takes, and you can hear the passion. You can see, you hear the stories all the time, but what you don't get is to be able to see them up close and personal. Um, my next question is, if you could speak to a family right now that may be watching this, that may say, hey, we need some assistance, or they just don't know how to reach out to you all. What would you say to those families?
Please look us up on social media. I mean, our names is who we are. Bianca Austin on Facebook, Queen Bianca on Instagram, Families United on Instagram,
Families United,
Facebook,
yeah, Families United
Jacob
on
Blake.
Jacob Blake #9 on Instagram and Jacob Blake on Facebook. Please,
Please, yeah.
we we
Inboxes
we
all the time.
we have legal people that we don't have just one person that we contact. We try to have resources lined up for these families, and if we can't find answers, we gonna find answers. We're
Absolutely.
not gonna settle for I don't know, because if you don't know, you need to know, because these are answers. These are questions that we need answers to.
Yeah, and traveling, and that's the kind of the good thing about us traveling with, and going to these different cities and connecting with these families. We connect with other organizations in their community, and they always reach out and say, "How can I help? Here's where I'm located." You know what I mean? Like I'm only a phone call away, and we use those resources. If we
What's
have,
happening, Jolly? We see you, baby. I had to holler. I see my brother jumped on the screen. Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you, not to interrupt. We're gonna go back to that. Every time my man calls me, he called me at 2:00 a.m. I answer the phone the same way, because that's how we motivate people, off our motivation. And he knows I love him. I love him to death.
That's right.
I love him to death. I'm sorry, babe. Go ahead.
Look, Jolly, you done made me lose my train of thought.
No, it's okay. Listen, my daughter came up. She said she wanted to say hi.
Oh, hey,
beautiful.
This
How
is
are
my twin
you?
right here.
Good. I love that cap.
Yes. Yes. They're sleeping. All right. Lord have mercy.
We have one too over here.
Yeah, we had one standing over here a minute ago. Hey, kid, they come at you when you least expect.
Oh, indeed. Here we go. And let's and since Jolly is here, let's talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that I preach on my platform, in terms of assistance rather, is accomplices, people that are willing to stand in the gap, people that are willing to get their hands and feet dirty in terms of doing the work, because allyship nowadays, in my opinion, has become performative. We need people that are going to put their boots to the ground, that are going to pick up that telephone, that are going to put hands and feet on some folk if they need to. You know what I'm saying? In a manner in which we can equitably come together. So talk a little bit about the importance of us not just coming together, but also providing resources to one another to ensure that the ultimate mission can be accomplished.
I will. Can I go first? In what you're saying right now, how we provide resources to each other and fill the gaps. The first 6 minutes that I met Jolly, in 6 minutes, we were already discussing when he was coming to be with us, and what we were going to do when we got together. And it takes people with the attitude that wherever I get in, I'm gonna fit in.
Absolutely.
And this fight can't be won overnight. And we must be prepared to be in this fight and on this motion for the long haul. Um, we don't get depressed because we read The Art of War and we understand that battles are won and battles are lost. But the war is a longer process to win the
Absolutely.
war, you know. So as long as you understand that, there's NCOs and there's officers and then there's generals and then there's strategists. So we have to some people are strategizers, some people are lieutenant, some people are generals. It's the same principle, it's just a different animal. And when people understand all the work that goes, see, people think that it's lovely, lovely. It's hard work. This is hard work. It's not easy to look in the eyes of a family member that has lost someone, and then you're trying to find a comfort zone to comfort them. It's not easy, man. But God has been able to allow us both to be used to calm these people. Sometimes it's just holding some. I held a little girl's hand, I don't know how long, and she said, "I just wanted to meet you and touch your hand." And when she was done touching my hand, she walked away. And she said, "Thank you. I needed that." And I was hoping, whole time I'm holding her hand, I'm trying to transfer energy. I'm sending energy to this arm, like, like like it's a cartoon. But these there's people out here that need us. They need unity. They need to be shown that is together. I've been down with me and Jolly talk all week. We talk 3, 4 times every week. And I love his energy. I love the fact that he's willing to go wherever. He does what we do. We do what he does. And when we're together, we got ran up on in DC by the Proud Boys. One of the guys ran up on us and started talking that junk. And, Jolly shut it down so quick, I forgot he was even standing there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the importance of that, having soldiers, that understand that this is a real life battle we facing. There are
Yeah.
some real life dangers associated with this. However, the fight does not stop. One of the things that we
Mm-mm.
Right.
consistently talk about, and me and Jolly, we've talked about this a decent amount, is you have those, and you mentioned this earlier too, that talk the talk, but then you have
But
those
don't
of us
walk the walk.
that walk the walk. It's not enough to just say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Well,
Right.
where's your work? The Bible
Right.
says faith without works is dead. So
Right.
where's your work at? What
Yeah.
work are you putting in? I want to go back to the families, because I want to keep the focus there, for those that are going to be watching, because that's how I'm going to push this out. Um, to the family that may very well be on the verge of giving up and may say, you know what, we're not going to receive justice, especially if we just throw in the towel. Miss Austin, you can start first. What would you say to that family? They've been
Oh,
going through the ringer. They've been going back and forth with police, lawyers, all of that stuff. And they're just like, you know what? I'm ready to give up. What would you say to that family?
absolutely not. In the words of Travis Nogdy, keep going. It was a young man who was really deep in the Breonna Taylor protest. He came down there, and at first it was all like a game to him. He really didn't have a purpose. But let me tell you, this young man was out there for months, and he realized like what a difference and an impact he had on people. And it's unfortunate that he lost his life to gun violence in the fight.
Wow.
and that's that just stick dear to my heart. That was one of his thing. It was when in doubt, just keep going. Um, and we personally know like it definitely takes a toll on you. But you have to remember that we are fighting against a system that is not built for us. It's not meant for us, right? And
Right.
um, one of the things how we connected was I'm a standoff kind of person, believe it or not. I'm standoffish. I'm very cordial and I'm sweet and but I also like to stay to myself and I don't trust people. And those was one of our first conversations. He told me, he said, you gotta stop. You gotta let somebody in. You gotta let somebody help you. You know what I mean? Like he said, you have you can't do it by yourself, right?
Right.
So get you a support system. Stick with your support system. Um, just because you like we fight, I cuss him out. You know what I'm saying? We laugh, we cry, we cuss each other out, but we go through the motions together.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like look where we at. You know what I mean? And I know he's gonna do me more good than harm. You know what I'm saying? I know he's gonna tell me when I'm wrong, when I'm right, when I'm being a hothead. You know what I mean? Like he give each other that balance. And to these families, you got to stick together,
Hold on.
build your support system, and keep going. If one person tells you no, if a door closes, guess what? Go to the next. Keep going. Find ways around the system. Find people who's in the system that can help you. Because we got our people in the system that can help you. These councilmen. Like, and a lot of times you just need guidance. A lot of times people just don't know what to do, who to reach out to. And when Brianna was murdered, they gave us a card. They said somebody will call you in 6 to 8 weeks. Wait, what? So ain't nobody gonna tell us what's going on? Y'all just
Right.
yeah, like it was truly a nightmare. Like when especially and this is another thing. People, watch, New York Undercover, SI, all these TV shows.
45 minutes. Something is done.
Nothing like it at all. Nothing. And in my thought process, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have our own detective. We're gonna have people that come talk to us and help us and can direct us. Do you know to this day we still have not had a conversation with Louisville Metro Police Department? Has never reached out to the family in regards to Breonna Taylor without being subpoenaed from our lawyers, Lenita Baker, Sam Aguiar, or Ben Crump.
Wow.
There still hasn't been a conversation made. So yeah, you there it's sad, especially when here when it's a cover up, you got police investigating the police. You know what I mean? Like they all working for each other. You got the mayor who's over the police chief, who's the police chief. It's a mess. But there are ways around it. And the more you fight, the harder you fight, people are gonna want to help you. The problem is people are not gonna want to help you by saying you need help from the couch. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I'm willing to stand up there with you, with your family. But what I'm not gonna do is be out here, sacrificing time away from my kids, my family, and be out here just to say your family's name at a conference and you're not doing anything. That's not how
Right.
this fight works. You have to really be out here in the struggle with the fight.
And
Guess
not
what?
give up.
I can tell you every name of the protester here in Louisville because I'm in constant communication with them. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
and they're genuine. You know what I mean? Like they're people to people. You have to build that rapport with your community. Let them know like you're serious. You know how many people, families in Louisville alone has been victimized or murdered by the police that I be in a grocery store and they say, well, I see you on TV all the time. My son, got killed by the police in 2016. Do you mind? And I'm like, so what have you done since 2016 for your son, for your loved one? I can go out here and say his name all day long, but but we're not getting it. We're not accomplishing anything.
Right.
So I just really, if you really, and for some people, give up. They just don't have the backbone. They just don't have the strength to get out here. But if I can just say, just dig down deep, find it, and make time for your loved one. Because if that person meant that much to you as you say they did, you would be out here.
And in the darkest moment,
Yeah.
in the darkest hour, you know that the sun will rise again.
Yeah.
When it's so dark you can't see your hand in front of your face, the sun will shine again.
Absolutely.
So you definitely got to keep going. It's definitely nothing's going to happen overnight. We're still in the middle of an investigation in Brianna's case. We still haven't gotten evidence that we subpoenaed for. We still fighting these people. You know what I mean? But just because people don't see things on social media, you know what I mean? Or because, people tend to, I bet if something negative was to happen right now related to any of our cases, it'd be all over the news. You know what I mean?
All over it.
All over the news. But just because people don't see you in that limelight does not mean like you giving up on your family. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to go get some sleep if you can sleep. A lot of times people don't see, the health conditions. I have to force him take your medicine, go to sleep. You know what I mean?
And a lot of people don't even realize that I was in a coma in February and I almost lost my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I made an agreement with God. I said, if you're ready to take me, I'm not scared to go. But if you let me up out of this hospital, I will fight harder than I've ever fought. And literally, they were scared that I was not coming home. And it was right after the inaugural, and I was deathly ill. And if I can get up off of a deathbed and continue to fight and fight like we've been fighting, and she talks about sleep and rest, and we both said, I guess when we leave here is the only time we're going to get rest.
Yeah.
And be that as it may. But
Right.
your preparation and your attitude is everything. And these families need to know, man, look, it's a heavyweight bout. There's sometimes where one heavyweight can be looking like he's dominating the fight, and one punch, boom, the whole flow changes.
That's it.
So I'm gonna say this, and not because Jolly is listening. Jolly was my secret weapon when he came to race. Kenosha. They wasn't ready for him, baby. They wasn't ready for him.
I wasn't ready for Jolly.
And when I put Jolly up there, and he did his thing, baby, you could feel the momentum change. It was but now it's a different fight because you have to understand your role. My role with that was to organize the speakers and to bring motivation because I couldn't talk all the time and I didn't want to talk. And I did not talk other than thank people for coming. And I spoke very little, but I wanted the speakers that were assembled to say the words that I knew they would say. And
all your followers, go find that Jacob Blake's 1-year anniversary speech by Jolly, or go to Jolly's page. When I tell you, like,
he brought the funk, baby.
Yeah,
he brought the funk.
Yeah.
And when I tell you brought the funk, I'm old as hell because funk was in back in the early 70s. We was listening
Listen,
to
listen.
Ohio
I
players.
was still on the shelves in heaven in the 70s.
Right, see, back in the 70s, that's where I come from. So when I met Jolly, it was a funky good time. I'm telling you, me and him were just
Awesome,
he
awesome.
knows, he knows.
That's awesome. I listen. eh, the pain, the passion, the work. It all has its place. And I like the fact that you mentioned earlier, Miss Austin, about putting some work behind what it is that you're doing. Oftentimes, I give the example. If your car breaks down on the side of the road, right, and I'm driving by, which am I more likely to stop and help you if you're doing? If you're sitting in the driver's seat and I don't know that you've called AAA and you're just scrolling through TikTok, I'm probably just
Right.
gonna keep on riding on
Keep on
by
going.
because
Right.
in my mind, I'm thinking,
They
oh, you
waiting on
good,
somebody.
not knowing that you said, you know what, I give up. I don't want to call
Yeah.
anybody. I don't want any help. Vice, you
Mm.
see someone, they tell their passenger get in the driver's seat, put that car in neutral, and they get behind that car and start pushing it. Then you're
Pushing.
like,
Right.
oh, they putting in
I'm
some
gonna
Let
help
me
work.
him
let me
push.
get a.
We just pushed the car yesterday.
I just he was about to
Oh,
say that.
look at that. That's confirmation. That's
He was about to say
confirmation.
that.
You know, and it really speaks to the nature of what it is that you do as a whole. Give me a second, sweetheart. All right, give me a second. It really just speaks to the nature of consistently putting in the work. But like you said,
Yeah.
it's not enough to just say you need help.
Yeah.
We have to actively go out and seek out
Go
these
out here.
things. But then also too, when we come across people, we're all fighting our own fight. But as we come
Yeah.
together, we understand that there's a collective fight that is much bigger
Yeah.
than all of us. And I like the
Right.
fact that Miss Senior, in the beginning, you talked about the families coming together. People had never seen that before, because in their minds, they want each of these to be isolated incidents. They want each of these to be like, you went through this, you went through this, you went through this. All right, now go your separate way. The fact
Right.
that you all haven't even been able to sit down and have a conversation with them that was not subpoenaed, that is preposterous. But you know
Crazy.
what? The work still needs to happen.
It still needs
There's
to
Oh
still
well,
happen.
work to
it
be
never
done.
stops, bro. That's why we appreciate you so much. You don't understand how much we appreciate you because you guys understand what it takes, and you know the work. It comes from a coordinated effort. It reminds me of a full orchestra where you have the woodwinds, you have the strings, you have percussions, and then the marriage of the sound. And if you're a student of Bach or Beethoven, you understand that that cello can't play without that clarinet hitting that perfect, and then raising, and it's, I mean,
Okay.
with imperfect coordination.
Right.
And we understand that sometimes you're like, I don't think they understand where you are, man. And
Right.
and we're on the exact opposite side of the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, we just gonna. I told Jolly. I said we're gonna find a way to make it happen. If I gotta stay
Right.
up later, if I gotta get up earlier, we're gonna find a way to make it happen. And this
Yeah.
needs to happen more often. Uninhibited. And there's no ulterior Give me a second. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Give me a second. Go sit down. That'll be there in a minute. And as we continue to fight this fight, we understand that there are different players in different parts of the world that see what we're going through. They see the work that we're putting in. I mentioned earlier, I think before you all hopped on, it brought me great pleasure when I hopped on TikTok and I was seeing them reopen Kendrick Johnson's case, and I went over to the hashtag and I saw his mother, and it just a flood of emotions rushed over me. It wasn't until I clicked on her profile and I saw follow back. Oh my
Mm.
gosh. I was like, wow, this is crazy,
Yeah.
but just
Right.
to know that we have a mission. There's a mission that's bigger than all of us. There's a task that's bigger than all of us. When Jolly hit me up, it wasn't even a second thought. I said, let's get on the horn. He's like, make contact and let's set this thing on up. It was because I knew and this speaks to the credibility of individuals. When certain people hit you up, you don't even have to think about it. You already know, hey, listen, what we got to do to make it happen, where we need to be at.
Yeah.
When they hit me up earlier this month, we're going to be doing a protest at TikTok headquarters for its unfair treatment of its users and the amount of things that they allow on the platform. When they hit me up, I said, listen, for those that don't know, I'm in the military. I had to ask my chain of command, hey, listen, can I go to Cali? Now check this out. They said, what you going to Cali for? I said, a little event. they said, now Anthony, now they know about my platform on TikTok. When I met my commanding officer, it was like, oh yeah, he got 1.something million followers on TikTok. I said, goodness gracious, that's how you gonna introduce me to the man? They was like, okay, what type of event? I said, sir, it's a protest. He said, all right, what we need to do to make it happen. When people know, and when you got your ducks in a row, they will support you.
Right.
They will go to bat for you. They will stand up for you. So for those of you that are watching, looking, listening, do understand that there is somebody out there willing to help you. But before that happens, you have to help yourself.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And to add to that, I just want to say how important it is that we have got to stop judging one another. Situation. A lot of times, like, people want to pick and choose who they out here supporting based on their situation. Let me just explain something to y'all. A life lost is a life lost. Regardless, people are so misinformed. People say, oh, Brianna was a trap queen. No, I don't understand. Brianna never had a record a day in her life. You know what I mean? Like, where do you get that she was a trap queen? Because she was involved with who she was friends with. You know what I mean? A lot of people like, oh, Jacob Blake shouldn't have been doing this. He shouldn't have walked away. It's not your job to sit there and judge people when somebody lost their life at the end of the day, wrongfully. So in order for us to continue this movement and to stay united, we got to lose that mentality of picking and choosing who you want to support and who life was more important than the next, or you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's a life lost. You know what I'm saying? And it was taken wrongfully, and it wasn't their time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, even though Jacob Blake is still living, his life is still been hindered. He's handicapped for the rest of his life. His life will never be the same. He has to actually it's he's kind of worse off living, you know what I mean? Because he's still got to relive every day. Look at his kids, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like we need to leave that mentality of judging people on their situation and picking and choose who we want to support. Support is support. If you're gonna be out here in this movement, in this fight, you need to support everybody.
With no, like, when you love someone, you love that person unconditionally. When me and Jolly got together, when me and B right here got together, when we first got together, we made a decision that we were going to be what we were going to be unconditionally. We there were no limitations on what we were going to do. There were no reasons. We unconditionally agreed to fight together. There was nothing anybody could tell me about B, and there's certainly nothing you can tell B about me, because we're going to get up and we're going to fight tomorrow. Then we're going to get up the day after that and we're going to fight. And if God allows us to crease the sunrise with our eyes, to just crease it, not to open my eyes all the way, just to crease, to see a little bit of the sun come through to my opals in my eyes, then I'll be there to fight. And until I can't see that light, that little crease of light, then it'll be time for me to stop. But by the time my eyes don't crease the light anymore, there'll be someone to step in and fight in my spot because they'll know that the passion in which we fight with, that there is unconditional extremes that we will go to. That we're not in it for the good days. We're in it for the bad days, the good days, the in between, the times when sometimes we're in a hotel and we be like, I'll call B. We in the room next door to each other on the cell phone. I said, B, I don't even feel like getting up. She said, boy, you better get in there and put some water on you so we can go. Or she'll call me, bro, I'm so tired. I said, we ain't tired, girl. Let's go. Let's
go. Coffee. Let's go.
It's coffee and coffee. Because it takes that. That's what it takes. We're in motivation mode. It's so strange. And I think it's because we're both Aries. That our motivation level, man, when I see her, I've never seen her in a bad mood. Oh, there's my man, U.S. I was going to say something about U.S. Overlord, Army Overlord, because he's a brother that's got, man, that brother, man, we walked all over D. It was so hot in D.C., bro, that the police gave us a ride, gave me and B a ride back to our car because I couldn't make it. We told him, I'm not going to be able to make it. He started clearing stuff out of the back seat and took us back over. And then we came and got Jolly. And I'm telling you, man, but U.S. Army Overlord, that's a brother that's down for the, man, I'm telling you. That brother I'm in Louisville right now. If he called and said he needed a ride from the East Coast out to Cali, I'd say, look, I'll be there in about 5 hours. Okay, we got to have gas to go. Let's go, baby. I got all off track, but I saw Overlord pop up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in closing, because this was ridiculously powerful, and I love the fact that we've kept the smiles up, we've kept the motivation up, because that's what we need. They always want to see us in pain. They always want to see, oh, well, how do you feel about? We talked about that already. Now let's talk about this work we putting in.
Let's talk about the work we got to do. Let's not talk about the tragedy or how I feel. My emotions are my emotions. My emotions drive me to do better.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to share my emotions with you unless you close to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in closing, for those of you that would like to donate, any gift, however big, however small, the link is in my bio. I'm also going to put the link in the description of this video as well. And I'm going to do a follow-up video to this as well, just to kind of gain more traction. I kind of did like a preparatory video, but I'm going to do another more targeted video just to get that increased support and keep that running through the algorithm, because this was amazing. And we need to have more of this. And I believe that as we continue to fight this fight and put our boots to the ground, and put things into motion, that we stay consistent. I like the fact that you all mentioned just keep going. We have to keep going. And I state that, all the time on my platform, that it's not enough to just say you want change. We got to actually be out here putting in the work. So one last time, I want you all to let them know where they can find you all at. And the Beacon's link for donations is in my bio. The link for donation for Families United is in my bio on TikTok at iSpeak1906.
Yeah, so look us up on the internet. We got a website, thefamiliesunited.com. You also can look us up.
I'll link that as well.
On Facebook, Families United, and also on Instagram, it's Families United on Instagram as well. And just continue to pray for us and our families. I don't know if y'all saw the news that where the feds are not going to press charges against the officer who shot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times. So we're going to be on to our next steps in pursuing what our next steps is for him. Also continue to um, keep Breonna Taylor and our family uplifted in prayer because we are very much so still in the fight. Um, Wish I could just like give you more details on what's going on, but unfortunately, um, I can't. But just know that we still in the fight for that. And shout out to all our
Absolutely.
family that we've been working with. We
We
love
love
you.
y'all.
We'll
We
see
love
some of
y'all.
y'all soon
Yeah,
here.
definitely. Jacob Blake #9 on Instagram, and then Jacob Blake on Facebook. They let me back on after blocking me for 2 years. They banned me for 2 years off of Facebook.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I used to call white people pink toes. And I wasn't trying. And so every white person I met had toes that were pink. So
Listen, well, I definitely look forward to the connection, and thank y'all so much for coming. Definitely make sure, give me a second. Make sure you mash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to ensure you stay updated. Make sure you go follow me over on TikTok as well, and hit that Beacons link and donate. If you donate 10 cents, we appreciate it. If you donate
a nickel,
all good.
A nickel,
love,
a nickel, baby, a nickel.
Listen.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna put that in the comment section. A nickel, baby.
Nickel.
That's it. We'll definitely appreciate you all taking out the time. And like I said,
thanks for having us, man.
Absolutely. And when I touch back down on the mainland, hey, we're gonna have to meet in person. We're
for sure.
Trying to come over there.
Yeah, we're trying to come see you.
Absolutely. Well, you all have a good one and be blessed.
All right, brother. Take care, man. All right, everybody.
Blessings, brother.
Peace and love.